Now that we're so close to Fontaine, I wanted to do some retrospective videos talking about a few things that came out during the Sumeru arc that I think are really cool. Be it a couple of characters who I think are significantly underrated, or some things that I'm absolutely loving. I wanted to look back at how Genshin has progressed this last year before things probably changed dramatically again. This time I wanted to do the same video that I did around about a year and a half ago, talking about the top 10 most fun characters to play, in my opinion. Now of course, this is an opinion, but I think we'll all agree that my number one pick is actually fact. First off, what makes a character fun in Genshin? It's actually everything. It's not just, DPS and all that jazz. Damage output does play a role, and of course the character's utility, special mechanics that they have, as well as the lore, the story, their personality, and of course their overall character design. Also keep in mind that I don't have every single character in the game, nor do I have every constellation for the folks that I actually have. The characters I don't have, I'm just simply not that interested enough in getting them. So characters like Ayator, Albedo, Scary Memes, I'm just not that interested in getting them. And considering that most 5 stars in the game are more or less fully functional at C0, I haven't bothered to whale that hard into the game to get high constellations for most of these folks as well. With the specific exception of Miko and Nahida, of course. Since the last time I did this video, there's been a lot of new characters that have come out. So you'd think that I should expand this to a top 15 or top 20 video, but I decided not to. To give this video some more meaning, I really wanted to constrain to still 10 entries. So some folks from the last video won't be in this one. With that in mind, let's get into the list. Number 10. Number 10 is going to be a shocker for anyone who has been part of the channel since the start of Genshin. It's going to be Diluc.
You what?
Okay, let me explain. When the game first came out, Diluc really struck me as a seriously uninteresting character. His main sticking point was his outfit. His coat was boring. I mean, I don't know what you guys were thinking, but no. His gameplay wasn't all too great either. So what changed? For me, 2 things specifically happened that suddenly changed my opinion on Diluc forever. First and foremost, he got the first and, as of recording, only 5-star outfit. And it's really cool. And then the second thing that happened is that I managed to get him to C6. So now, his look is flawless, and his C6 gameplay is really smooth and very enjoyable to play. I'd say he's my favorite pirate character to play by a somewhat decent margin right now. For anyone curious, my second favorite pirate character to play right now seems to be Dahlia. Number 9. An old favourite of mine who continues to be a lot of fun to play when her element doesn't run into some annoying issues in places like Spiral Abyss, Ningguang. Look, Geo is what it is. But amongst all the Geo characters, Ningguang continues to stand out as the most interesting of them all. She is still the missile-flinging rich queen who's totally in a relationship with Beidou, and you can't convince me otherwise. It helps that I have C6. Because the quick swap playstyle to do a lot of damage and then swap out, that is what I enjoy with Ningguang. And she's also got that gorgeous nightgown that's now a permanent choice of outfit for her, at least until something new shows up. I just hope that Navia will be able to make Geo great again someday. Number 8. I literally talked about this guy in some detail last week. Mr. Tanari, ladies and gentlemen. The charge shot archer in the game. He can also be played in a quick swap manner, which allows him to do quite a lot of damage and then swap out for someone else, which in turn makes him really good with characters like Yae Miko. Tanari also had a surprisingly compelling and somewhat depressing story quest that has stuck with me even now. Story of Karkata and his deceased creator was a very moving story that also highlighted how much of a bro Tanari is. the man went against the academia regulations and essentially adopted the robotic crab. He's also been nothing short of helpful during the Sumeru Archon quest, so man's a G. That's all that needs to be said. Number 7. When I last did this video, I gave Xingqiu an honorary mention as he had started to grow on me as a guy with an interesting kit. So today, I am proud to say that my number 7 pick is Yelan. I don't think I need to tell you this. Yelan is absolutely gorgeous. I know she's a cop. I know I won't be able to fix her, but she could fix me any day. Sorry, need I say more? I love everything about Yelan's kit as well. As one of the few who have actually triple crowned her, I actually like using not just her off-field hydro, but also her hard-hitting skill. That still hits really hard despite me running EOSF. And when I do forward vapes, oh, it's 100k hits, easy. And then of course there's also her breakthrough barbs. The great thing about her breakthrough barbs is that every so often Yelan also temporarily becomes the charge shot archer in the game, and I really like that. Her skill is also the closest thing we have to a mount in this game. Of course she can mount me any day. As of recording, Yelan's rerun is coming up, so I'll be going into some more detail as to why I think she's better than Xingqiu, so stay tuned for that. Yelan has pretty much been my go-to for a variety of teams that need some off-field hydro damage whilst also relying on normal attacks, namely Aloy and Senno. It helps that I have both C1, which means I don't really need to use Fab or Sac for that matter, and a top 2% Yelan build on the Akasha terminal. She is heckin' strong. Number 6. Speaking of, Aloy. Look, I'm an Aloy main through and through at this point, and it helps that I seem to have the strongest freeze build this side of Ayaka rankings. Apparently if I put my Aloy build on an Ayaka, I end up with a top 2% Ayaka build. Anyway, she's always the one who almost nobody gives attention to, and any attention that she gets from, you know, bigger names with bigger YouTube channels, for example, often comes with a lot of snark, a lot of sneer, a lot of sarcasm. So, you know, here I am, picking up the slack and giving her precisely what she deserves. It helps that throughout this past year and a half, I've kind of basically become a theory crafter when it comes to Aloy, essentially using all the core concepts that we know and use for other meta teams in order to ensure that any Aloy team that we play is able to maximize their damage. Things like figuring out how to do a double swirl rotation for Freezeloy really felt like a lifetime achievement. It also helps that I now finally have Shunha. Freeze teams in general have been a bit of a meme for quite a lot of Spiral Abysses during the Sumeru arc, which have made Freezeloy, my preferred way of playing Aloy, a bit of a meme as well. I haven't quite yet fully invested as heavily into her melt build as of yet, but that has kind of begun with some tasty Shimenawa pieces, for example. But yeah, I'm a big advocate amongst even the Aloy mains of playing Freezeloy. And as always, when it comes to talking about Aloy, say it with me folks, give her some goddamn constellations, Hoyo. Number 5. Okay, for number 5, I want to cheat a little bit and actually include 2 characters who kinda end up playing similarly for the most part. It's Daraida Shogun and Senno. Now, just as I mentioned in the last video, A is one of those now few characters, there's actually a few characters who can do this, who pop off and go ham for a solid moment after you've set up your off-fielders and supporting characters. I feel like the same can be said about Senno. To me, Senno feels like A if A had EM scaling and worked with Beidou. A, of course, trading all of that for massive battery capabilities, which is what continues to make her such a phenomenal character. It's really just different strokes for different folks, but I feel like they both have really, really cool kits that are incredibly fun to play in a similar way. Thundering Fury, Quick Bloom Senno is best Senno, I don't care what anyone else says. Number 4. Number 4 is the cutest of them all, Nahida. I've talked about her in great detail in the past, so as a quick overview, we are looking at a character with the cutest normal attacks in the game, an actually insane skill that is so overwhelmingly strong it begs belief sometimes, and of course she has a gorgeous and oftentimes super duper useful ultimate. Nahida's outstanding power level is one thing. Her tragic story during the Sumeru Archon quest has also left a deep scar in not just me, but I think a lot of the Genshin community. You know you have something special when the entire community seemingly rose up against the academia for the way they treated their Archon. Nahida has been nothing short of extremely helpful to the overall story of the game, and I hope that she continues to pop in from time to time and drop mega-sized lore bombs. But in the meantime, she continues to be a staple in my Dendro teams. It also helps that I have her at C2. Number 3. For number 3, we have our Queen of Sass, Guji Yae Miko. And Miko is one of those folks who got a massive glow up thanks to the release of Dendro. Used to play her as an off-field Electro carry with A, pretty much exclusively. But now I can also play her as an off-field Electro carry with folks like Tingnari and Alhaitham, or as an on-field Quick Bloom carry with folks like Nahida and Yelan. Miko's flexibility is what made her a far more interesting character over this past year and a half. That and her randomly showing up to Sumeru for the Pokeshrooms event, and her sass during the TCG event, how the hell did she lose to Kokomi by the way, are exactly why I always like to play with Miko right here, right now, Emerge. And folks, keep in mind, if you do hear her say right here, right now, emerge, you actually get a hidden 5% damage increase to your turrets, but it's hidden. Your numbers will stay the same. But what actually happens is that the health bar of the enemies that you hit will be decreasing by 5%. It's actually 5.2311846%, but we're just going to round down for ease of remembering. So just keep that in mind. I continue my quest to get one Miko constellation with every rerun. I'm currently at C2, and even now, she is so damn strong. And because I like playing Quick Bloom Miko, I will continue running an EM Sand, despite that essentially lowering her rank in the Akasha system. I don't care. EM is good for Miko and Dendro teams regardless, so that's what I will do.
Let's spark things up a little.
Number 2. For number 2, we have the first wife, Lisa. Now, let me say this clearly, once again. I am a Lisa main today. I was a Lisa main yesterday. And I will be a Lisa main until the day this game dies. If it ever does. And just like Miko, Lisa got a humongous glow up thanks to the release of Dendro. Quicken teams basically allow her to shine on-field and off-field with folks like Tingnari and Nahida. I don't play Quick Bloom Lisa that often though. I personally prefer just pure Quicken shenanigans. I've covered Lisa's rise with Dendro in great detail with the Comprehensive Guide to Lisa, Dendro Edition. So there's not a lot that's left to be said. You may be thinking, well in that case surely you'd like Miko more than Lisa, right? But that's before we remember that in 3.4 Lisa got her Sumeru outfit as well. And oh, she's gorgeous. She's absolutely stunning. She was already a solid 10 out of 10 woman in Mondstadt, let's be real here. But her outfit in Sumeru, oh, made her a 20 out of 10 woman, 100%. 100%. I'm still kinda in a honeymoon phase with the Sumeru outfit, but I think I'll start switching between the two from time to time. Okay, before we get to our number 1 pick, let's go through some honorary mentions. A character that a lot of people don't give even remotely enough respect to, Dori, is actually really cool if you take the time to understand her and maybe use those constellations that you totally have of her when you were trying to get Shinobu. I know you have C6 Dori when you were trying to get Shinobu, don't lie to me. I have been playing her on field as a paladin, basically, so I'll explain a bit more about that when I get around to her video. But while she doesn't make the list, she's really fun to play. And as I mentioned, my second favorite Pyro character at the present moment seems to be Dahlia. And part of her charm is that because she is so inherently weak, it becomes a case of trying to figure out a way to play her that is enjoyable, and then trying to hardcore invest into that particular playstyle to get some decent damage out of her, and then maybe one day clearing Spiral Abyss with her actually doing something meaningful. At the same time though, I'm kind of suspecting that maybe we have all been wrong in thinking that she's supposed to be played as like a traditional reverse vape carry or something like that. I think she might be a melt carry. Ooh. And with the way that it seems like characters are being designed for Fontaine, maybe Dahaya was the first sign that Hoyo are trying to push some much more unorthodox ways of playing the game. We'll just have to see. Noelle and Zhongli are still really good and continue to be staple members of the Geo royalty. And like I said, it's going to be interesting to see what Navia brings to the table. If she does something really cool, perhaps I'll end up dropping Goro for her. Al-Haytham is a pretty cool dude to play with as well. He does kind of have a similar playstyle to the likes of A and Senno. The only thing is that I'm kind of trying to figure out a quick bloom team that I like with him. It hasn't really been working for me at the present moment. That's even with me actually leveling up Shinobu, because yeah, even though I just said like, oh, I kind of like playing Dory a lot, I don't necessarily like playing Dory with Al-Haytham specifically, because he does tend to run around quite a lot. Shinobu is particularly good for Al-Haytham, that's true. I do like playing Quick Al-Haytham, so no problems there, but Quick Bloom Al-Haytham, I'm still kind of trying to figure out a team that doesn't necessarily have Nahida, because whenever I feel like playing Al-Haytham, I kind of end up playing Nahida on the other side of Spiral Abyss as well. And I haven't had much opportunity to play Yanfei a lot lately. I mean, I did play a lot of her for the Should You Get Claire video, but aside from that, I haven't really gotten around to playing a lot of Yanfei. So that's why she's not on the list. I mean, Yanfei's still pretty cool. I do like playing her whenever I get around to playing her, but I think the thing that I'm going to need to really do is give her some more ER, because the idea of using her ultimate every other rotation, yeah, that doesn't exactly sit well with me. Number 1. Okay, hear me out. For number 1, we have Nilou. Here's the thing about Nilou. Nilou isn't really a character. I mean, she is, but when it comes to the gameplay side of things, Nilou isn't exactly a character. Nilou's an idea. When I choose to play Nilou, I choose to play US foreign policy, legalize nuclear bombs, blum blum blakuda. So with that in mind, who is actually my number 1? The answer to that question is Candace. The most fun character to play in the game is Candace in a Nilou team. We're talking about seeds everywhere, just exploding, and there's tons of damage, blooms that are just activating my almonds, and everything is dying. And in the middle of all of that chaos, there's Candace tanking through all of it. And not only is Candace just tanking through all of that, she has an actual shield. So when we have bosses or particularly annoying enemies that are winding up to do some obnoxiously big dick damage, and my skill happens to be off cooldown, press A, hold A, block all that incoming damage, and then continue to produce more seeds. It's the Wallenstein school of being a badass. On top of that, both Nilou and Candace are very, very beautiful characters. Candace seems to be like a really good person who looks after you, and Nilou just seems like a cool person to hang out with. There's also a saying that goes around these days about, well, Spiral Abyss. If the current Spiral Abyss is not good for Nilou, everyone is going to have a generally miserable time. If the Spiral Abyss is good for Nilou, generally speaking, everyone is going to be having quite a lot of fun, regardless of what team they play. And I feel like this is true. This current Spiral Abyss is particularly good for Nilou, in the first half at the very least. And, you know, you can kind of just bring whoever you want, and you do end up having an absolute blast. That's my list of the top 10 most fun characters to play before Fontaine drops. I'm sure this list is going to change in the future. with some Fontaine characters, hopefully. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments below. Who are your top 10 or top however many most fun characters to play in Genshin? Let me know in the comments. Obviously, like I said, this list is incredibly subjective, except for, of course, the number one choice, because that one is actually factually correct, and if you believe otherwise, you are very much wrong. No. Anyway, hope you guys enjoy this. If you like this video, hit that like button, subscribe for more Genshin Impact action, and until next time, I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching. Bye.
さようなら。
天道万象難攻不落強行
肉力増進やるよ。その命いただいたわ。諦めなさい。